audition thing. Do you mind?
I would love to do that.
Oh, you'd love to. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
because culture is a huge part of this.
Introduce you to a few people. Yeah. I'll hook you up, and then you can visit all these sacred places, and you can talk to them, and you can learn more. So when you go back, you're like, wow.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. No. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Good to see you, isn't it?
Good to see you too.
Later, Miss Spence.
Thanks, Mr. Safari.
You're welcome.
I saw these beings, and they have black eyes.
We got those ones. We experienced them quite a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
And is it the same description as how I describe it with
Yes.
that?
Yeah, I mean, they come in different versions. Yeah, they come in different versions.
I don't know what you've heard.
We just heard that the aliens came and they landed at Ariel. What you are seeing and what you're experiencing, I can conclude that there are spiritual messages that you have to deliver.
I'm supposed to talk about this with, it's not,
You
not
don't have to keep it for yourself.
Yes.
You have to share it. And by sharing, then you can be able to change people's hearts and minds. So you have to speak out. If they don't hear speaking, maybe you have to shout. You have to shout. Yeah, the significance of children is that they are not yet exposed to the world, and they communicate better with the spirits and the nature. So it's always good to have children. If you want a message to be delivered, it has to be delivered to children, because the child grows with the message.
We are now going to the burial sites of the chiefs. This is the grave of the royal chief. The Ariels landed on the center of the grave. The sacred shrine.
Sacred shrine.
Yes.
So it's very important.
It's very important. The Ariels landed on the center of the sacred shrines, which means they were entangled by the chief's graves, the grand ancestors of Zimbabwe. The mysterious happenings have been here for decades.
Did you hear about it?
Sure.
With Ariel when it
happened? Yes. I was quite informed.
Can you point to us where the Ariel school is from here?
This is Ariel school. This is where it happened. This is where they landed.
Oh my gosh.
Had you had those thoughts before this experience?
No.
No. And how did those thoughts come to you? Did they come to you from the craft or from...
From the man.
The man. And did the man say those things to you? How did he get that across to you?
Well, he never said anything. It's just that the face has the eyes.
Fungi, what do you imagine is his reason for visiting Earth?
I think it's about something that's going to happen.
Something that's going to happen?
Yes.
Like what?
There's pollution or something.
Pollution?
Yes.
And how did he get that idea of pollution across to you?
The way he was staring.
The way he was staring?
Yes.
Somehow there was a message about pollution from the way he was staring?
Yes. I think they want people to know that we're actually making harm on this world and we mustn't get too technologed.
How did that get communicated to you?
I don't know.
But somehow it did, isn't it?
Yeah, it came through my head.
Through your head. Did it, Through words or?
My conscience, I think.
Your what?
My conscience.
It came to you through your conscience told you?
Yeah.
I mean, while you were in contact with the being, you mean, or
while the being was looking at me.
While it was looking at you.
It was like this lake of calmness in his eyes. I was compelled to look at him. It wasn't like I wanted to look away from him. Time became very still and very bizarre. In my mind, technology and not good feelings about technology either. It was like technology was a bad, dirty word. I think that he was saying to me, beware of the technology, don't go into it too heavy because it's not going to be good for you. It was only when I was looking at him and his face and his eyes that I got that. As soon as I looked away from him, that's when all of reality and everything that was happening came back too. And that's when I realized that something really strange is happening here.
It's fascinating. This was imagery coming through for them communicating, but it's done through right in your brain.
You were saying that you thought that they maybe were trying to tell us something, like about the future. Can you say more what your thought is, or what was it like?
It was like in the world, all the trees would just go down and there would be no air and people would be dying. I think that in space there's no love, and down here there is.
There is love?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything we can do with that love as far as taking care of the earth? You had talked about that the message that we don't take care of the earth.
No.
Why not? Several of them talked about a message being transmitted through the eyes, that the beings were trying to tell us something. What gave that a certain edge of sincerity was they weren't offering solutions, like we've got to become environmentally conscious and, do something about the earth. So I'd say, well, what are we supposed to do? And they would say, well, no, that's not what they were what they were conveying. They were simply telling us that this is what's going on, and they felt very upset about it. But it wasn't like a, ecological political program or something. So that gave it a kind of authenticity.
At first, no news coverage took it seriously.
And I leave you to check for little green men and flying saucers.
And then when Reuters got hold of it, it got very serious.
There was a bit of a buzz, and it was all in the news and everything.
You had people that knew about the school from all over, not just in Zimbabwe, but it was all over the world.
Ariel school in Ruwa, ongeveer een half uur rijden van de hoofdstad Harare.
On the other side of the world, an unusual visitor called it to a Zimbabwean playground.
Unexplained mysteries. Something major has happened in Africa. A unique mass encounter between aliens and school children.
Hello, welcome back. Someone who started off as a skeptic, you're a Pulitzer Prize winner and all the rest of it, have actually been convinced that the people you interviewed at great length and talked to you about their encounters with aliens, that they were actually telling the truth. There is something out there trying to contact
There's some kind of authentic mystery here, which my training in psychiatry just hasn't prepared me for.
With all the skill that you have, I mean, you're a top American psychiatrist at Harvard, you would be able to tell when people were telling fibs.
That's what I'm supposed to be trained to do, is to distinguish between fantasy, dream, psychosis, or authentic experience. And this has all the marks of authentic experience.
And we just stared at it, and we heard this flute, sort of like a flute noise. Then I saw this black figure running in slow motion, and then I didn't want to see it, so I looked away, and I looked again, and it wasn't there anymore.
When you looked at those children, they were absolutely credible. And you can look at their faces, even on television, you can look at their faces and know if they're bullshitting or not, and they weren't.
We came away convinced that an extraordinary event occurred here, one of quite unique, I think, in UFO history. If there's anything that could convince a skeptical, closed-minded public that some kind of intelligence that is not, as the headmaster said, of this world, then this event should persuade people.
I believe overall this is a phenomenon of enormous complexity, meaning, and value for understanding of ourselves, who we are in the universe, and we're just beginning to grasp what this is about.
Welcome back to Larry King Live. He's a Harvard psychiatrist, and though he was once skeptical that beings visited from other planets, he now believes differently.
John Mack has been a psychiatrist at Harvard University for more than 30 years now. He won a Pulitzer Prize 2 decades ago for writing a psychological biography of Lawrence of Arabia. But these days, his writings have placed him on the academic fringe.
Meet Dr. John Mack, a believer in aliens from outer space. What would the academics up at Harvard University think about all of this?
We started to hear that John was getting to be in trouble. His practice was beginning to be largely about the investigation of these strange phenomena. He had started support groups so that the various people who had reported these strange phenomena could hear the stories from each other and begin to feel a little bit normal.
No matter how I looked at it, they were talking the way people talk about something that's happened to them. I was stuck with this dilemma. What do you do at that point? Do you say, well, I'm sorry, there's got to be some kind of mental illness I never heard of before? Or do you say, maybe what I thought was possible wasn't complete? It seems to me it's clinically and humanly more honest to say there's something I don't know here and to follow your clinical instincts.
What did you say? What did you tell your mom?
Some
This is
reason
Kaylee's talking now. Go ahead.
I said, Mommy, I saw an alien at school, and then my mom said, my mom never believed me.
Yeah. Does it upset you when your mom didn't believe you?
Yeah, sometimes.
Kaylee!
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Good. Oh, it's so nice to see you.
I know.
How does it feel?
It's crazy.
Right?
Yes.
So you want to take a little walk? Oh my gosh. And I mean...
I know, we have to look.
Okay, let's look.
Okay.
Yeah. I was trying to find mine, and I've been looking to find all my pieces because I don't have my drawings as well.
See, like these ones you can't see.
I know. That's why I'm like...
Oh.
Right?
It's not here.
Well, we could keep going. Tell me what you remember.
See, I was playing rugby over here. In this open part over here with the little boys.
Yeah.
And then all the logs were down there.
We're all here.
And then, I don't know why I remember a huge tree like this down there.
Because that field wasn't there. This is where I kind of remember it happening.
Like standing over there and then ran. I must have run there closer. I remember being close to the tuck shop.
Well, that's why I remember right here. And I remember Lisa and I right there.
So it must be there.
Yeah. And yeah.
Emily. Yes. Miss Bates found some of the drawings.
Miss Bates found some of the drawings?
They're in an envelope on her desk.
Ah.
Up in the office there. But I think there's been such a runaround this morning.
Yeah.
They're trying to do things.
Oh.
So they just let us know they're there.
Oh, how exciting.
Right?
I hope mine's there.
I really hope mine's there too.
They're both there. I haven't opened anything. I haven't looked.
Oh my gosh. You must be kidding me.
I'm scared.
I'm kind of scared too. Okay, you open it with me. We're together. We're here together.
Let's take a peek. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
See, I'm sure, we can't see it very nicely, but I'm sure this was a tree.
I've drawn this again. Like it's exactly like this.
You see, it's still shining as well. Remember I said I saw like a crazy light.
Oh my gosh. With this coming down. I think I blocked out a lot, man. You remember, like we keep saying, like, I think we blocked out a lot.
I really do as well.
Yeah. Holy shit. Wow.
I know, I think a lot of people, like, didn't believe us. beautiful. It's so peaceful.
I have the best memories here.
Me too.
The best.
I've been so terrible.
Well, Miss Bates she wants to see you. She's a little hurt because she feels like the students have avoided this place for such a long time.
Well, you see, that's the thing is like...
I know.
What happened.
I know.
I think that's why I've never come back. I didn't want to deal with
it.
Coming here and remembering all this stuff. I think that's the honest God's truth, that why I didn't come.
Yeah.
So 20 years later.
We still have the same story.
But that's the funny thing, is like I'm adamant about this tree and the light, and there on my picture, which I don't even remember drawing, it's there.
It's there.
And I drew that. I can't wait to show my mum.
You have to see it to believe it. If somebody's a staunch believer that it's not, how's me telling them my experience going to change what they think? It will change what they think about me. It's not going to change what they think about the universe. And I don't need that. But with 60 of us all saying it together, that will change what that one person thinks of the universe.
Many of you are going to think my guests today have lost their minds. To be honest, their stories do sound really crazy. But we were intrigued by this man. He is Dr. John Mack, who does believe their stories.
The president's lawyer said, well, what do you think it's like for the dean of the medical school to see one of his professors on Oprah Winfrey saying that men, women, and children are being taken by little green men? It does reflect, I think, the anxiety that this caused.
Well, Doctor, is the profession embarrassed when one of your colleagues puts forward theories like this?
Oh, yes, we're very embarrassed, and embarrassed for the profession and a little worried about John himself.
What, he's gone off the rails a bit?
Well, John is a man of great gift and great intelligence, but he's also a man who tends to take on enthusiasms, and in this time he's gone too far. We're worried about him. We hope he'll pull himself together, come back.
I sensed that I ought to try to get ahead of the curve on the high exposure that I had. But I was too late. There was something afoot. They were putting together a committee to look into the work and see if I had maintained the standards of the Harvard Medical School.
I am Arnold Relman. I am a physician. I was asked by the dean of the Harvard Medical School to look into John's activities in view of all the publicity and the fact that John was using the Harvard Medical School's name quite liberally and implied that the Harvard Medical School was somehow sponsoring what he was doing. And the dean wanted to know, what is he doing?
His research is shattering preconceptions about alien abductions.
He's studied over 100 people and is convinced they are telling the truth.
John, you have a very high profile, and the fact that you're a professor at Harvard tends to make people believe you. I mean, do you think you could be seriously misleading people about what's going on here?
The concern is, what is his relationship to the subjects? Is their psychological welfare being protected? And is this a violation of medical standards?
I miss this place so much, and
you told me just now.
Just after talking to Mrs. Watcha, and the kids and the school and the music, and then
you tell them like what's going on.
It's a horrible feeling to feel alone.
Now you got us now, like you got the whole Ariel family, like everybody's there, like looking out for you. Trace and they'll be all there on Sunday. Everybody's there for you. Everybody's looking out for you.
And I needed that, you know, so badly. They forget that there's a human being behind all of this. And nobody asked for it to happen. There's Lisa. Lisa Fungi, Graham. I remember her too. I remember the face, but I don't remember the name.
There are many people who probably are not going to believe certain things until they happen to them, period. That probably is even more pronounced in the West compared to many other cultures because we have advanced so far technologically, because our technology, which is based in science, is so dramatically powerful that people start thinking that must be all there is. A lot of the criticism about John and John's work presupposed that it was simply impossible that people could be visited by aliens, that aliens even exist.
To reduce knowledge of reality to the purely the physical world, what about the whole emotional world, the spiritual world? When you go into subatomic reality, there is no material world. There's only possibility and probability. The new findings in physics, if you take them seriously, are just as undermining of the dominant worldview as anything I'm talking about.
Baloney. Old-fashioned physics, new-fashioned physics, quantum mechanics, string theory. You gotta have evidence. You have to be able to measure something. I am morally and virtually certain that what we're dealing with is some kind of internal psychological phenomenon. It is inconceivable to me that these people are being abducted by aliens. If they were, then the whole world as we know it is upside down.
Harvard University was the kind of global champion of the classical liberal worldview. And he was trying to propose an alternative worldview with the reality of extraterrestrial intelligence.
A worldview is a kind of psychic glue. It sort of orients you. It's what allows people to think they know who they are in the worlds that matter to us, family, groups that we're in, institutions, schools.
What's possible is a matter of worldview. A culture decides what's real. What's real in this culture is completely different than what's true in other cultures.
I really think human egoism in the broadest sense is what is at stake. Our sense of value, our sense of who we are. Are we powerful? Are we in charge of our own fate? Freud said there's three big blows to human egoism, and the first was the discovery by Copernicus and Galileo that the Earth was not at the center of the cosmos. Second was Darwin's finding that we're
not particularly different from the other animal species. Freud claimed his was a third, that we're not really in charge of our own individual lives. And this, I think, could be a fourth. We're far from being the most intelligent or advanced creatures in the cosmos.
I think in the broad scheme of things, it's not a socially good thing to do. It promotes the cult of mysticism and magic and superstition, you know, the X-File kind of mentality. They're out there and the government won't let us find out about it. It's childish, and it's not good for the American public.
Why should this be so remarkable when we claim to believe in God and all kinds of spirits, and yet there's something about this one which takes a form that is particularly disturbing to us?
There's a lot of harumphing that goes on. Well, we don't really want to be identified with this kind of science. It's okay to be identified with other bizarre views that might emanate, but we have our limits too. Remember, we're a university that has a divinity school. We know the boundaries. Theology is okay, but extraterrestrials, no. Angels, yes. Extraterrestrials, no.
Let's just sit down and rationally, objectively talk it through, because there's a lot we don't understand. There's a lot we worship in our various religions that's meaningful and inexplicable. You can't just rule stuff out willy-nilly, because there is a magical side of life that is very precious.
I'm a Christian in my beliefs, but that doesn't mean to say that I think there's no other types of forms of life that exist in the universe.
There is a God, but there's also other things around that can't be explained, you know. It's another creature.
They teach you there's no such thing as aliens because, I mean, God created just human beings. That's what I was taught too. That's what I grew up thinking. The universe is so big, so I can't completely say it's fact that there's no such thing as life outside of Earth's solar system. The universe is a beautiful, strange place, and we're just human beings, and we can't know everything.
Maybe we don't have the capacity to understand. We may be just exploring the limited reaches of space. Beyond that, we absolutely know nothing in terms of life or how life exists elsewhere. Maybe it's too disturbing.
In the beginning of my going public with this, I received absolutely no general acceptance. There were no particular advantages to be gained, and every disadvantage. There were assaults from every direction in terms of the main part of my profession. If it was an opportunity, it was an opportunity to commit professional suicide.
It's a dirty subject. If you want to sustain a career in the BBC after having been in many war zones, you don't suddenly come up with a UFO story, which was absolutely waterproof. Then they just said, Tim's suffering from the stress and strains of all the war zones he's done. He's lost the plot. He's gone bonkers. I think that's when my career with the BBC ended. Gone. I think I lost my credibility because you don't talk about these things.
When I was in residency, John's office was on the main floor of the psychiatric wing. When I came back in 2004, his office was off-site, and I actually took that as a sort of metaphor for him being pushed out and extruded in a certain sense.
Finally, the dean of the medical school wrote a letter to John basically apologizing and saying that it was unfortunate that he had misconstrued what it was that they were trying to do, and reiterated this totally foolish position that they had, that all the dean was trying to do was to get some information so he could respond to calls that he was getting. And so that they ended up dropping the entire thing and letting him go back into doing his normal work at the university.
I accept Dr. Mack's statements at face value. He is inquiring and probing, and he has the right to be wrong. The most fundamental right that any academic has is the right to be wrong. Prove that he's wrong. That's the job of other academics.
He became the iconic figure of someone from inside a major institution who was willing to take the risks and pay the consequences for what he believed in.
My respect for John Mack, for his courage, for the difficulties that he's undergone. I think any human being would have to admit that if the UFO phenomenon is occurring, as the report suggests, it's the most important event in human history.
I really thank you for everything. I know I felt so welcome here. To our base. Yeah.
Healing process, eh? Come on, you'll be fine.
I know.
Absolutely, you'll be fine, eh?
It's a very precious thing to me to be able to have this drawing again and look at it and say, after 21 years, I'm still depicting it exactly the same way. And I can put it with the rest of them. I have probably over 300 pieces, and it started here. I don't know what it means for me further down the road, but I feel more confident. It's a stepping stone forward to go out, show my art, share my story, and feel good about it. With my family, they've been extremely supportive throughout this whole thing, and they've understood that this is something that I've had to go through. My mother has started speaking a bit about it. My father, for the first time at the dinner table, brought it up, but I don't know if this is something that they'll ever be able to accept completely, but I know that they love me and they trust me. They know, because they were there, that something happened.
I'd like to introduce Emily Trent, one of the witnesses at Rua, Zimbabwe in 1994.
That was the day my world shattered, and my outlook on the world became something completely brand new to me. I'm thankful for going through such a process and a journey in life, which has led me to discover, look deeper into the meanings of things, and become more self-aware. And I appreciate you taking the time to allow me to speak, and thank you for your understanding in something so very personal.
I don't know why it had to be Rua, small rural farming town. I truly don't. But for whatever reason, it did. It happened.
I'd like to know what we've seen and find out what it wanted. Why us kids, you know? It was a wonderful experience, actually, because I know definitely I'm not going to see something like that ever again. Maybe, who knows? It's something that I will pass on to my kids one day.
They might be just here as observers. We're just an interesting part of the local community, like we go to safari in Africa. See this other creature which is unique to that world. For some people it is scary, very scary, because it kind of makes them feel humanity is not in complete control of their destinies, and we think we are the dominant species on the planet, but maybe we are the dominant species on the planet, but maybe not the dominant species in this corner of the universe.
I think it's left me open-minded. I think it's a bit arrogant to say that we are the only life in the galaxy or the universe. Yeah, I think it's good to speak about it.
If there was one experience I'd like to relive, it would be that particular experience. I don't really say, I swear, man, it was there, that sort of thing, you know, like, you don't have to believe me. I'm sure a lot of people who've seen it barely believe themselves.
I don't think that the answer's out there. I don't think that I'm going to find an answer from Googling it or from talking to others about it. I think it's a long story is the answer. I think the answer will come maybe in this lifetime, maybe in the next. I don't know.
I'm glad I was there. It really stretched my mind and gave me a new perspective on life, the universe, and everything, really. I would not have missed that for the world. That's all I can say.
Would you like to see him again?
Yes.
You would like to see him again. And if you saw him again, what would you do?
I'll ask him some questions.
What would you like to ask him?
I'll ask him what is he doing on earth and what does he want with us.